California and Hawaii. It's the most beautiful and diverse athletic conference in the entire NCAA. This is Commissioner Bob Hogue, inviting you to join our outstanding coaches, student athletes, and administrators as we talk about the great excitement in the PacWest. Now here's Assistant Commissioner Tom Camillo, live from our studios in Santan, Arizona.
We're live in the Santan Valley. Tom Camillo, Joe Carrero, and you're listening to PacWest Radio on KQCK in the Santan Valley. And Joe, we're excited today because the nature of the Pacific West Conference being spread over 4 time zones and all the way to Hawaii, we don't necessarily get a chance to fly guests in. But today we have from Grand Canyon University men's soccer head coach Peter Draxen, and along with Kyle Ciliento and Brandon Hansen. Gentlemen, welcome to the studios. This is the majestic studios that Joe Carrero has built.
It's beautiful. I love it.
Hey, thanks.
It's we're excited to have you in. This is probably like maybe the 4th or 5th time in the year and a half we've done the show that we've actually been able to have people in the studio, and it's always exciting. And Drag, let's talk about Grand Canyon soccer. I want to talk about the season that you guys had. You made a run all the way to the regional final, but give an idea for those listening. What is if you could define Grand Canyon soccer over the years that you've coached? Give us a couple adjectives. How would you describe it?
Well, passion and sacrifice. To belong to the program, you have to, as a staff member, player, you have to have a lot of passion for the institution we're at, and then especially for the game you love. And that's what we're looking in people, is for those 2 categories, is passion, sacrifice, because it takes a lot of that to be successful. And we were very fortunate that in the last 3 seasons, we've been to Sweet 16 twice. Sports has a lot of luck. We put a team good enough for this season to go to Final Four. Injury here and there, luck here and there. Unfortunately, we didn't make it to the Final Four, and we're sad by it, but we're just going to move forward and keep doing what we're doing.
You have a lot of teams that have talent over the course of the season, and then injuries come in, schedules work a different way. You have student athletes having to worry about the class at the same time. What are some of the things that really impact a season? I mean, you play up and down, but there's a lot of things away, and is there a lot of luck to it, or being fortunate to stay healthy and having the right mentality of the athletes to get to that point?
Yeah, there are injuries. You know, there's injuries and luck. In sports, that's what it's about. You lose 1 player or 2 players, and there could be a playmaker, there could be a goalkeeper, there could be a goal scorer. It could be. And then the luck. Sometimes the ball just doesn't bounce. For example, our game in the Sweet 16 against Simon Fraser, a call here and there that we felt should have gone our direction. We missed three calls that could have made a difference in the game, and we have no control of those calls. The only control we have is scoring the goal. As you know, in soccer and hockey, that's a very difficult thing to do, and we were very, very unlucky. So going back to that is, you need your players to stay healthy, as many as possible in a short season, and then luck.
When you go to playoffs repeatedly for a couple of years, and you have basically a core set of players, there will be ones that graduate, new ones that come along, but there's always that core. How does that help you by the time you get there the 3rd time? Are they more relaxed? Do they treat it as another game, or is it every year you got to say, hey, this is just a game when it comes down to it?
Well, we never say it's just a game, especially I don't say that. What helps is knowing that the program has been there before. And we have done it through the 90s. That's really when we established ourselves in the NCAA Division II. And in 1992, we were fantastic. We were ranked top 3 in the nation probably the whole season. We lost to Cal State in overtime in the Sweet 16. And then back 95, Elite 8, and 96 winning it all, and 98 back to it. So we established the program in the community of the NCAA Division II, and knowing that, it helps these guys that come in. They know it. They heard it. They know that we're not new at postseason. So it builds the confidence. It's expected of us to do well. But on the other side, yes, it helps when the kids themselves have also experienced the year before. But I don't look at it that way. I believe it's the program and the history of being there carries on year in and year out.
By establishing that, does it make recruiting any easier that you're kind of on the map of going. You had the success. Student athletes know they're going to have an opportunity to compete for championships at the conference and national level. Does that make recruiting easier?
Well, sure it does. In the old days, in the early '90s and late '80s, when we got the program, it was all about on the phone, on the wall, calling and begging, and explaining and selling your program. With the technology today, with the obviously with the web sites and everything else, the kids are calling now and emailing us left or right. Coach, I read about your program. Coach, I read about your success. Coach, I read about this. I read about that. So it's definitely helped us with everything.
Let's bring some of the players in. I want to ask Brandon about this season. Talk about the season this year and your experiences and playing, through all the way through to the playoffs. What was it like for you playing at Division II?
Well, it was a lot of fun, honestly. It was a different experience than previously I had in college, but I was fortunate enough to have a great group of guys and a great staff. I started off the season personally not quite where I wanted to be, and so I talked with Coach a number of times. I was like, how am I going to get to where I want to be? So it was an interesting experience, but I worked day in and day out. By the middle of the season, I personally turned the corner. We were in California, I think, honestly, is where it happened. Playing Academy of the Yard or something. And from then on, it was like playing soccer as a kid. I had so much fun. We were winning games left and right every day. We were winning games, training, and everything was great. And I loved, being a student there too. I just transferred there a year ago now. So it was my second semester. Obviously a lot different than the previous spring because we were in season, so I was at school a lot less. But it was really enjoyable, and I was really glad to be there.
What attracted you to Grand Canyon? Because you're a native of the Phoenix area, the greater Phoenix area?
Yes.
Where did you go to high school at?
Mountain Point High School in Ahwatukee, which is 25 miles south of Grand Canyon.
So what then attracted you to come back to Grand Canyon?
The soccer program. I was so lucky to be able to get in touch with the coaches here when I came back to Arizona and when I was planning to come back and everything. So I thought, well, it's in the area. It's only 20 miles from where I grew up. I was moving to Tempe. Like, I can make that drive to continue playing soccer. Like, no problem. It was not even a decision. I was so happy to be there.
When you talk about life on the campus at Grand Canyon, because I know I've been involved with the conference for 7 years, and it's just changed dramatically over the last few years. Growing up in the area, you've probably now you see commercials everywhere for Grand Canyon, but it really has changed, and the campus culture has changed over the years.
Yeah, it has, and it's funny. For me, it's more about the stories I hear from older guys that have been on the team or the coaches or everybody. Because I've only been there for a year now, and it has changed dramatically since I've been there. But the funnier part is hearing the stories about, oh, this used to be a dirt lot, this used to be parking, and now we're playing on turf and beautiful green grass, and there's buildings everywhere. And so it's a beautiful place to be. The buildings are top-notch, classrooms and everything, all the technology that's in the arena, for example. And it's beautiful walking around now.
I want to bring in Kyle here. Now, Kyle Ciliento, you haven't played for 2 years. I know you were injured and redshirted, and then but you still have 2 years of eligibility left. So by the time you're done, it's probably going to be, like a 6-year span?
A little longer, about 7.5, yeah. So
you've been here as long as I've been in the conference. So then obviously you've seen tremendous changes at the university.
Yeah, I got there in 2009, and most of it was dirt. Our weight room was in a room no bigger than this. It was nothing at all. And then something changed. New ownership came around. We got the new rec center. We got new weight room, new soccer field. Everything happened, and it's just taken off from there. Everybody loves it, and it's great to be there. Like Brandon was saying, everything is top of the line, and we couldn't be happier.
Do you have, knowing kind of where it started and where you are now, with the new guys coming in, just see what's there now, but do you have an appreciation for what's changed and the commitment?
Oh, yeah. When we used to work out in an old gym that's probably 50, 60 years old, and that's where we worked out. And now everything, we have a beautiful facility. If you ever have a chance, go check it out because it's something to see. But, all the guys, they go there and they're like, yeah, this is what it is. but that's not what it used to be. It's come a long way, and I think the older guys, myself, I'm one of the few ones still around, unfortunately and fortunately.
Do they refer to you as the old man?
They don't, but I just turned 23, so I've been in college for a while now, so it's a good time. So I'm glad I'm there.
Let's talk about the two players from a coach's perspective. Talk about Kyle first, because I watched him play his first 2 years, and the number of goals and the impact he had in the PacWest has been tremendous, both as a student and as an athlete. And talk about him, and then the last 2 years you didn't have him, and what has that been like?
Well, definitely, we were looking forward to have Kyle play 2 years ago. And when it happened in the spring season game in Prescott, we were all devastated, and because we knew with Kyle and obviously the young man Saeed Robinson, we knew we were ready. We were ready to explode. We were ready to go to Final Four, and it's just unfortunate what happened, and we definitely missed him. Kyle established himself on campus for a couple of years before that. He's broke all records in the PacWest. He was a two-time All-American freshman and sophomore year. Everything was going right for him. And then in the community of the university on campus, everybody loved him. Administration, students. He was a great figure for us to be around that campus. And everybody was hurt, devastated by the fact that we're not going to have him the next year. But as a program, again, we have to keep going. I'm one of those guys that, I have no control of some things, but I cannot give up. The program cannot stop. So we kept going. But with Kyle being there these last 2 years, there's no doubt in my mind we would have been closer to Final Four and winning a national championship.
But now as you move to Division I, it's almost now you have him for 2 years. It's kind of like the flip. It's like at the time, but now you have. What I found interesting was, and we talked about this, is that Kyle never played with Saeed Robinson. And there's probably two of the in the top five in the conference. Those two over the last 4 years, definitely, that are in that mix, but they never played together, which is really unusual.
Yeah, it's actually sad. It's really sad. It's really unfortunate that they didn't get an opportunity to actually compete. They played in spring ball a little bit together, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
I mean, people kind of said, well, they don't complement each other during the spring ball, but I know in the regular season that would have happened. Okay, they would have complemented each other. They would have scored lots of goals together, and it's hard to take, but we were very fortunate at least to have Saeed for the last 2 years and be able to accomplish what we accomplished. And now getting him back, we're incredibly excited. He has the experience in playing Division I. 3 games, whatever he played before he got injured at St. Mary's, but he was in that environment for a full year of Division I. So as a captain coming back, he's going to help us lead the program into that Division I status. And
talk about Brandon. What kind of player is he?
Brandon, we wanted out of high school, but like a lot of kids around here.
Brandon's shaking his head now.
Like a lot of kids around here, sometimes you just gotta say, because club coaches and all that, you gotta go Division I, you gotta do this, you gotta go away from home. Division II is nothing, and so we had to live with this I had to live with this for 20 years, and so you get the kids that really, really want to stay home, and they don't really care what division they play. And so we couldn't get him out of high school. He had some great offers. He could have gone to San Diego. He could have gone to, obviously, he ended up going to Oregon State. And the moment, actually, one of the assistant coaches at Oregon State, I was on a recruiting trail in Florida. I said, what are you still looking for? And I said, well, I'm looking for an attacking midfielder or a underneath striker, like a supporting striker. He says, I have one for you. And I go, Brandon? And he goes, yeah. So I was like, all right. So let's go. So that's how Brandon ended up coming home and being there. So we're excited to have him for 2 years. 1 year in Division II. He scored some incredible goals to go against Azusa Pacific. It was a volley that it was like out of this world. He caught it off somebody else's chest, came back down, he blasted it, hit the goalpost, went in. Coaches in the PacWest are still talking about it. And he's had a goal against Cal Baptist to. Where Cal Baptist tied us 1-1. He put us ahead in the lead in a 1-0 goal from about 35 yards out. Same thing out of this world. He can score some incredible goals from distance. So we're very lucky to have him.
Brandon, you were lamenting before we went on the air you didn't get a chance to go to Hawaii. but obviously playing your first year in the conference, the schedule you had was what you only knew. But can you describe kind of the PacWest soccer? from your perspective, because all of us have been in it for years and have seen it change. But from your perspective, talk about what it was like this year.
The biggest change that I can think of is playing in the middle of the week. We were on the road or at home. It doesn't matter. Playing all the time. I mean, we had games. We'd have a few games in a week, and so for schoolwork, kept us responsible, kept us on top of everything. But as far as soccer went, we got to play games all the time. I mean, it's nice waiting for the weekend and resting your body, but I mean, we're young men. We were playing games Wednesdays, Fridays, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and it didn't matter where we were. We got to go to some really nice places. Seattle was beautiful when we were there. California, we were in the Bay Area for a long time. It's always nice to go to beautiful places. I didn't go to Hawaii, but I've heard great stories about the other guys that go. I mean, because they enjoy it as well as get to play soccer there. I mean, it's a dream come true for a vacation. But we took care of business, on the mainland, and it's a good time.
Kyle, talk about you've been in the PacWest obviously a long time. What have you seen change over the years?
The main thing I've seen is how much more competitive it's gotten with all the new additions. I'm not too familiar with them because I wasn't playing this last year, but I know Fresno Pacific was really good. Holy Names came in, but even just the teams that were a little on the lower end in 2008, 2009, like Academy of the Arts, some of the new teams that came in, they started to really be competitive. I know they got some big wins in California against some really top schools in the PacWest, so everybody just in the past few years has really gotten a lot better, and it's made it a lot more competitive and a lot more enjoyable, and there's no easy games anymore.
Exactly.
So,
for the last 2 years, it must be hard watching. So how do you occupy your time? Do you go to the games? Are you on the bench? Or, how did you deal with that? I mean, 2 years is a long time.
Right. Well, the first year, 2 years ago, I was I actually redshirted. So I was on the bench. I was at practice. I was at everything. This past year, I didn't go to school at all. I had to take the year off to save a year of eligibility. So I was still helping out. I was volunteering, kind of coaching, but I wasn't doing the coaching, just helping out, being in all the games and practice and stuff like that. But yeah, I was keeping busy. I was working out with Chuck Howard, our strength and conditioning coach at school. I was also working out with a friend I have, Aaron Robinson, who's a strength coach, one of my friends, and my therapist, Dave Bailiff. He's a great guy, and these guys I was putting in the hours getting healthy. So I'm still doing that again because I tore it again. So I'm almost clear in about 2 weeks, and then I'll be good to go.
Wow, that's got to be exciting. Is there any apprehension?
No, I mean that's one thing I'm thankful about. A lot of people say it's hard to get back into it. The mental side of everything is the toughest to overcome. For me, it hasn't been. For me, it's been unlucky. I've been strong, but it just hasn't gone my way the last couple of years. But I have confidence that it will, and I'll stay healthy, and everything will be good from there.
Are you excited about resuming your career and playing Division I?
Yeah, it's great. Division I, it's a big step for us as a program, as a school, everything, and it's going to be a big step. The first year, I think we'll do very well. I think now that people actually know Grand Canyon's Division I, we're getting a lot more local kids, a lot more stuff like that. We're getting a lot of good players, so it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to go back to Division I, so it's going to be a good time.
When the announcement came out that you guys were moving to Division I, what changed for you in terms of recruiting? Did your phone ring off the hook?
Well, no question. Emails, phone, no question. It's kind of funny actually. I was like, you get more interest of the local kids, but now you get over interest. It's like you can only take so many too. So it's like, but anyway, because everybody believes it's a human nature to believe that you can play Division I soccer or Division I sports. Okay, so the evaluation process is going to get tougher for us, but it's a good thing when you have kids knocking your doors down with emails, with phone calls, whatever that is. It's a great thing. It's great for our institution. Like Kyle said, I'm not naive. I know we're making a step up. We still have some Division II kids we're going to grandfather in. We're going to keep it going, and we're going to have fun in this first season. But let's not forget, we're not going there to get our butts kicked in. We're going there to be competitive and to win, and our goal is to be over 500 and maybe even win our conference regular season. So we have some goals. We're going to have some goals set for. If you play sports, it's no fun losing. if you're going to show up to practice and play, you might as well do your best to win games and be successful at what you do, because that's what brings a lot of fun to the program, to the players' faces and all that. So yes, I am going to miss PacWest. I'm going to miss Hawaii. Like Kyle said, the Azusa Pacifics and Cal Baptist and Fresno Pacifics, and everybody's getting better. Dixie State, everybody's getting better. And Notre Dame Namur, we cannot forget. It's been a great soccer program ever since I've been there. They've always been knocking on our backs. Excuse me. So it's been awesome, and we're very fortunate to leave a mark. I was looking at the other day, in CCAA, we were there for about 8 years, and we were the first team to win a national championship for CCAA, and we were the first team to go to the CCAA conference tournament 4 straight years, from 98 to 2001. 98 to 2002. I think it was. We were the first team to accomplish that, and we won 2 CCAA conference tournaments. In the PacWest, we won 4 out of 6 conference tournaments, in 6 years. And my goal was to win 1 more national championship and be in PacWest. That would have been awesome. CCAA national championship, PacWest national championship, and then move. But timing, we have no control of. That's what our institution is striving for. Our state needs a Division I private institution. We are it. We will be the Marquette of Arizona. We will be the St. John's of Arizona. We will be that private institution that's going to make a lot of noise in athletics.
I want to talk about in the PacWest and your experience over the last few years, especially having to travel to Hawaii. You have the student athletes that really have to be disciplined because of the type of travel, and even what Brandon said earlier about playing all different days of the week. Now you're going to a Division I conference where you have that kind of distance between schools. How has playing in the PacWest helped you prepare? And I'm talking not so much from the athletic side, but from the student side.
Well, there's no question. From the student side, we can't forget we recruit student athletes. So educationally, we're looking for kids that are there. It's yes, we have tutoring, we have all that stuff, the study halls that are available, especially when we travel. But it's best when you don't need study halls, because the kids are taking care of business. As I tell them when I recruit them, the degree will help you in life. The success will help the university market the university. So we owe it to both. Okay, so we are really, really looking at the kid, at their grades, at their SAT, ACT scores, at their GPAs. When we are paying a lot of attention to that before we bring them in, because we travel so much, and they have to be able to manage their time. And if they have great grades, if they take care of business in that area, that means they'll be able to manage their time.
Brandon, you talked about that, about playing different days of the week. How did you have to manage your time as a student athlete?
Well, we had to, I took a couple classes online, which was fortunate. Grand Canyon has a great online program academically. So I didn't miss as much class probably as some of the other guys that take, as many classes as they can on ground. But for those classes, all my teachers were really, I had 2 great professors on ground in the business department. They were really understanding of travel. I never had a problem all year, all season, about, tests or whatever, labs or anything that I had to make up. I just got it done either early or before trips. And, sometimes I think the worst time I missed maybe a few classes in a row. That was the worst. And it was totally fine. I kept up with it. I didn't do study hall or anything, but had my laptop with me wherever we went, and that was my education for that travel period.
That's got to be the biggest change, because having the accessibility to the electronic components. Back in the day, you carried books, you had to drag stuff with you. And Kyle's laughing because probably even early on, but as everything from social media to the accessibility to networks at an institution, you really can bring a small electronic device and do what you need to do.
Well, it's incredible. Coach, 4 of us have to go to computer, business center at the hotels where we're staying at. We have to get into our class. So that's awesome. Go to the business center, get in your class.
So they don't miss class. So then in a sense they don't miss class then.
Yeah, go get on that computer and be in your class, and do your homework. And it's awesome. Like in the old days, I remember we'd come from trips because we used to drive in the beginning stages. There was no budgets and all that, so we used to drive to Denver, Salt Lake City, everywhere. and we drove everywhere, and we'd come home, and sometimes the kid would come, student athlete will come and go, "Coach, my professor is mad because I missed class." Well, we already sent the information, you could be gone, but he or she, they're still mad. So I had to go in there and deal with that. Well, he's an athlete, and he's going to make it up, and all that we got to work. But sometimes professors don't understand that. So now with the technology, really, really help the student athletes. When you go to Hawaii, you go for 8-9 days. When you go to San Francisco on that pod schedule, you were there for 8-9 days. I'm very proud of these young men. Like Brendan said, I have no study halls. It's not negative. We have the right kids, and that's why we don't need study halls.
Kyle, the statement that's often said is that student athletes, and some of the information does bear this out. Student athletes do better in the classroom than the general student population, have a higher GPA, and it's because they have to be so organized. Do you agree with that? Do you have to be organized to be a student athlete and go to school?
Definitely. It's if you have all the time in the world as a normal student, whatever you're doing, you might procrastinate. You're going to save it off to the weekend. We're going to do these things. But as athletes, we can't do that, especially when we're playing during the week in the PacWest. We can't save all our homework for certain days. We got to get it done right away so that we can travel with less work to do. And just like Division I, you play on Friday, Sunday, or Thursday, Saturday. You get your work done early in the week so that you can focus on soccer on the weekend. So it really, you have a lot to do, so you need to prioritize and you need to get your stuff done in a timely manner, which is what most athletes do.
I think what people sometimes don't understand about the PacWest is a lot of Division II schools. When I was in the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference, our furthest trip was 8 hours from Edinburgh to Westchester. Everything else was an hour, hour and a half. In the PacWest, you're flying most places, and you're going long stretches, and because you have your schedule factored in money, a class time, it's a really difficult schedule to put together because of all the different factors. You have to be organized.
No question. No question.
How do you... When you recruit a student athlete, you said you had the right athletes in there.
I'm not saying the other sports don't have the right athletes. I'm just saying we focus on a kid. We look at their habits, their GPAs. That it's just something that honestly, in 26 seasons I've been at Grand Canyon, we probably had study halls, and it was in the early stages, and I think in the early 90s. And my captain, actually the national championship team at the time, I was just with him. I got the opportunity to see him after a long time there in Clare. I'll never forget the words. I want it to be like baseball, like basketball, like other sports. I'm going to do study halls because it's the right thing to do. And after a couple of study halls, Darren pulls me aside. He was my captain, a little bit older. He says, "Drac, most of us have 3.5 or above. Only 1 or 2 don't. Why are you punishing us to sit in the library for 2 hours?" Well, I'm going, the only answer I can come up with, "Why don't you 4.0? It's like, I have to come up with something quick, It's like, and it's like I walked away from that conversation, and it still sits with me. You are so right. You manage your time. You have excellent grades. So why am I making you be in the library for, So anyway, so that's why I'm coming from that. Yes, we are very focused on who are we bringing, not only a soccer player, but also a committed student athlete. Student.
Kyle was just saying about, when I asked him the question about being organized and that, but really take it a step further with a student athlete in a conference like the PacWest. It's not about being organized. You have to do this just to survive, don't you? Because you could fall behind pretty quick if you don't.
Yeah, I would say in the beginning of the season I did fall behind a little bit, especially getting used to the online programs and that and our Angel domain. But like you said, we're so fortunate to have laptops. I didn't even think to bring that up because my laptop seriously saves me in school. Like, I bring it on every trip, everywhere I go. I'm doing it at home. It's part of my education being, taking online classes. So that has helped a lot because I don't like carrying heavy books or anything like that around. My laptop's pretty heavy, but it's nothing like carrying textbooks. I have online textbooks and stuff, so things like that have helped a lot.
It's such a different world. I remember when I was in school, I'm like carrying books. I wanted to take a book bag because it didn't look cool, and I'm going from class to class, and it's just. But it is a different world. As you transition to Division I, what's your schedule look like next year? Are you allowed to talk about any of the teams yet, or not?
Oh, no problem. It's again, I'm blessed. I have from playing days and early days, and I have friends across the country, and it's been so welcome, so warm. We just had our national coaches convention, and it was like Rutgers coach, track next year, you're on my schedule. St. John's coach and UConn coach, I was on the phone with them this morning. For this 2013, no problems. And in fact, I was joking with the guys, I have to get rid of some games. So right now, as we're looking right now, non-conference, we have San Diego State in there. We're looking at UC Irvine. We're looking at Loyola Chicago. We're looking at Fullerton, UC Riverside. We had an option in Florida to look at schools like South Florida, excellent program. Even FIU, Florida International, sent me a. We are set. We have enough games. I just got to figure out which games to pick up. So as soon as I get to my office, actually, that's going to be a priority today and tomorrow to stabilize that non-conference schedule. And then, as you know, I don't know if you know, in our conference, we have 7 programs right now. We're waiting for one more, which is a possibility. And the 7 programs are, ironically, the way the WAC is coming along is Cal State Bakersfield, Seattle University, Grand Canyon University. We're like the 3 biggest rivals in Division II, and we all have a national championship in Division II. We used to play all the time, and it's funny how the 3 of us were 3 dinosaurs. Pete Fewing's been at Seattle U for like 27, 28 years. Simon Tobin at Bakersfield 17, 28, 29 years. I'm going into my 27th season, and we were such a rivals at the Division II level, and now WAC, we're the first 3 schools, 3 programs in the WAC, and it's a brand new conference. So it's like, to us, it's incredible, it's special. And then, so that's the 3 WAC, and then we have the associate members in UNLV, San Jose State, Air Force Academy, and Houston Baptist. So that's the 7 schools. We're waiting for the 8th one. There might be an announcement in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or we might just start with 7. Will give us 12 games, and then we'll have 8 non-conference games. So no problems getting a schedule. Oh, we also have Stanford on the schedule for 2013,
Wow.
which is very, very exciting. It's a prestigious program. I'm very excited about it, and we're looking forward to play them on September 13th, Friday night at Stanford.
As we just have a few minutes left, as you look on the PacWest and your time in the PacWest, are you excited about what you leave behind? That felt that Grand Canyon has had just such a tremendous impact on the conference. I know you said you're kind of sad leaving because it helped build it, but think about where it was and now where it is.
Again, I love it. It's not being selfish right there. I love it. I look at CCAA, what we have done there, and I look back at PacWest. I love it. I think we had a big impact as an institution, but in men's soccer, I think we had a big impact in men's soccer as far as establishing that men's soccer division. And I'm very proud of our program, what it's done, and how strongly it's competed. And we're very thankful, most important, for all the awards in the 6 years that we have received by coaches, opponent coaches, for Players of the Year, Newcomers of the Year, First Team All-Conference, Coach of the Year. I've got a few awards, and it's all because of my rival coaches respecting us and respecting our program. And so I'm very thankful to all the coaches for all the recognitions they have given our program over these 6 years that we've been in it.
And Kyle, as you leave the PacWest too, I know the time and the impact you had in your 2 seasons that you actually got to play probably was pretty special for you when you look back.
Yeah, it's basically how I started my career. St. Mary's, I got hurt there my first year, played in 3 games, came back to Grand Canyon. This is really where I started my career. Did well in the first 2 years, and it's going to be sad leaving. PacWest has done a lot for me. It's helped me grow as a player and as a student. But I'm excited where the direction of the PacWest, because I know us, and I think it was Notre Dame made the NCAA tournament last year, and it easily could have been 3 out of 6 teams, which is huge. And it's just going to keep going from there. It's going to be a top-notch program for Division II for a while. If
you have one memory of your playing time in the PacWest, is there anything that stands out? Is there any game, any goal?
Not necessarily in the PacWest, but it was my first game ever at Grand Canyon. We played Cal State Dominguez Hills, and they were number one in the country division, or they won the national championship. First game of the year at Grand Canyon. We won 2-1. The first goal I scored was like 25 yards out, top corner. And we won 2-1. I scored both goals, and we beat the number 1 team in the country, and that's the best moment I've had at Grand Canyon so far.
Well, we hope you have moments now going forward. When will you be back on the field? You said about 2 weeks you might be healthy?
I'm back on the field right now with no contact, and I can handle contact in about 2 weeks, but I won't be playing in the spring season for eligibility reasons. But I'll practice with the team, but just won't play in the games.
Okay. And Brandon, your first year, give me the best memory you had. I think you talked about it before a little bit, but your best memory of this first year.
It's funny you asked Kyle about a memory, and I was thinking of a memory, not necessarily the best.
Okay.
was at Cal Baptist. Going in, I had heard a little bit of the history between our schools and Cal Baptist, and I didn't really know what to expect, but it was windy, man, let me tell you. And I was like, I think I was coming down with something. I wasn't feeling well. So that was a physical battle, and I was fortunate enough to score a goal that game. To put us ahead 1-0, and I was so pumped because I was so tired. I was like, please, can we just get through this game? Like, this would be the best result. We would stay undefeated, win the conference, everything. So that was a battle, and it was a good experience for all of us as a team to get through that game with a tie, unfortunately, but to stay undefeated for that streak. And at least we ended up winning the conference.
Well, the time has flown by. I want to thank the three of you for driving out here from Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon located up on Camelback, just west on the 17 of the 17. Tremendous impact over the years. I've enjoyed my time with you guys in the conference, and we've seen soccer grow tremendously in the PacWest. So good luck as you guys move on to the Division I. Brandon Hansen, Kyle Ciliento, Peter Draxon from Grand Canyon University. Next week we'll be back live at this time, and you can check out on PacWest Radio and on KQCK on the website. You'll see this on, you can go back and watch this interview. For Joe Carrero, I'm Tom DiCamillo. We'll catch you next week on PacWest Radio.